My name is Miss Lizzie. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditsies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house, and I did see that we have a delay, so we might have some little glitches today. The good old StreamYard, right? We got to always worry about these virtual technical issues, but I do have an incredible day lined up for you guys today. Today is Canadians. That's right, I have two Canadian guests that are coming in, but I have the incredible Carolyn Harley in here, and we're going to share her song, my Alberta song. I was recommended her by a good friend of mine, Simone. So I want to thank you for recommending her to me as well. But before we get started, let's get over to all those platforms that Miss Liz get you guys to follow: Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those platforms, Blue Sky, Lemonade, all of those guys out there. Give those a like, follow, subscribe, and get these tea times out there because they do resonate with someone out there. Also jump over to the podcast apps, Podbean, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those good platforms. And if I haven't mentioned any of them, the ones that you guys find, Miss Liz is on all of those as well. So, and also jump over to babyboomers.org because Miss Liz is partnered with babyboomers.org, and you can find incredible other podcasts out there if you're looking to be on different shows. But before we get all of that going, we're going to get the disclaimer, and then we're going to get a beautiful intro, and then we're going to get Caroline in here, and we're going to spill her tea. And her tea today is Temple, Energize, Attitude. And she's going to give us a little deeper into that as well. And then it's Songs That Matters, It's Never Too Late to Bloom, and the Power of Stories. That's the tea we are serving in this house today. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real-life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guest viewers and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, and mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where music becomes more than sound. It becomes memory, meaning, and a reflection of places and moments that shape us. Today's guest brings us a heartfelt journey through song, storytelling, and the reminder that it is never too late to follow your passion. Please join me in welcoming Carolyn Harley, Canadian singer-songwriter, recording artist, and storyteller from Calgary, Alberta. With 7 albums and award-nominated work, Carolyn creates music that speaks to the heart, songs rooted in life experience, connection, and the beauty of finding your voice at every stage of life. Her newest single, My Alberta Home is more than a song. It's a love letter to place, memory, identity, and belonging. A reminder that home is not always just where we live. Sometimes it's what lives within us. Caroline often describes herself as a late bloomer, providing that dreams do not come with expiration dates, and creativity does not disappear with time. In fact, sometimes our most meaningful work comes after we've lived through life to truly understand what we want to say. Today's tea time is about music, meaning, storytelling, and the courage to continue growing into yourself no matter what age or season in life you are. So grab your cup and lean in. This is a conversation filled with heart, reflection, and beautiful reminders that your voice still matters. Let me get Caroline in here and let's spill some tea. Welcome, Caroline.
Hello. Let me just start off by saying I absolutely loved your introduction.
Well, thank you.
Really touched my own heart as a reflection on who I am as a writer and as a songwriter and trying to share story through music. I mean, you captured it beautifully. So thank you for that.
Well, I work hard in the background, right? That's why I ask all these personal questions to all my guests to get to know you guys a little bit.
Yes.
Well, Caroline, for all my viewers out there, let's get to know you a little bit. Who was Caroline as a little girl and who's Caroline now?
You know, it's interesting. I just was speaking with my brother in BC, and he commented on a photo I posted on Facebook of me as a tiny little girl holding a bouquet of flowers in front of my grandmother's home, and remembering how she would wash carrots from her garden in a rain barrel and pack me a little picnic. And so today I'm loving gardening, and I've just dug up part of my garden with to put vegetables in. So I'm kind of going back to my childhood. And, you know, even as a little girl, I loved nature. I loved my memory of that, taking that picnic into the fields behind my grandmother's place and listening to the bees and the sound of the wind in the trees. And I have such a strong memory of that sense of a beauty in the world and a beauty for good in the world, an energy that was positive. So as all children, I had my difficult times, and but I always have stayed connected to that sense of beauty and goodness and kindness that does exist in our world.
And who are you today, Caroline?
So today I'm still holding on to those same beliefs. I'm a bird watcher. You can call me a bird nerd. It's an obsession that I started many years ago, and it gives me that opportunity to be in nature and to be sustained by the beauty of nature around me and the discovery of. I mean, I'm so excited. I just added a new bird to my life list right in Calgary, which is very unusual. And they were just traveling through, I guess. This isn't even normally their territory, but it just gave me such a rush and they're, you know, such beautiful birds anyways. So who I am today is still somebody that loves gardening and birding and being in nature.
And that has a lot to do with your songwriting as well, right?
Definitely. The one album that was nominated for during COVID was called Heartbeat of the World. And one of the tunes in it, I wrote in my garden. And it's about, it just says there's beauty in the morning when I rise. And it's that sense that I had even during COVID with everything that was going on, that if I could be connected to nature, if I could be outdoors and I could connect to that sense of power, that sense of energy for good that was in the world, even as we were struggling. And I use that today in everything that's happening in our world right now. It's such a time of unsettledness. You know, we all feel so uncertain about our future, but I'm still out there, you know, digging up my garden, and I'm going to plant vegetables and going bird watching just staying connected to that sense of a power for good that exists in each of us and in the world.
Well, Caroline, we have some questions that are coming in, so I'd like to get those out to you today during our broadcast. And the first one that came in is, what inspired you to fully step into music later in life?
I had been actually working on my music since I was a young mom. So I was learning to write. I was taking workshops. I was finding opportunities to perform and to learn to play guitar. And I struggled with guitar. I struggled with timing. But so all through teaching preschool, I sang at preschool and I sang at every opportunity, and I studied and I studied and I studied. And I had this mindset that as long as I kept working at songwriting and at singing and at being an entertainer, that eventually I would get to a place where I would be able to, feel a sense of connection, that I was able to take what I believed I wanted to share with the world and do it in a way that was, enjoyable to everyone. So when I was heading towards retirement in preschool, I started backing off the number of classes so that I could do more music. And when I retired, I just gave myself fully to the music and into the studios and recording and releasing and learning all the elements of Spotify, all these crazy things that and building a website and it's as I find, as long as I'm learning, as long as I'm growing, as if I can look back and say what I did today, I edged forward from what I was able to do. That just enriches me. It just gives me that sense of purpose to keep going. Yes.
So, Caroline, you were a preschool teacher. So how did that help you with your songwriting and influence the words to come out?
Well, I think working with children is just such an energy boost. They loved me singing and teaching them songs, and I love that response. And I think I learned to be more open and maybe more animated because from working with children. And I do that is when I'm on stage. I love to engage with my audience and chat with them and ask questions and get them to sing along on choruses, that I know are very singable, and I enjoy that kind of interaction. And I think that comes from being a preschool teacher. The child in me comes out on stage.
Well, that's what I got when I listened to some of your songs, was that they're easy to follow along, and they got a nice beat, a nice, not a fast tempo, but a nice slow tempo that it's almost like a nursery rhyme, right? That it's easy to pick up and follow through. And that's what I got with the Alberta, my Alberta Home song. It was a beautiful, elegant, easy song that you would want to play over and over and over again. Like, I played that song a couple of times already today. So I was just like,
Nice.
I was singing around here, making my tea, and I was just like, oh, my Alberta Home. And, so it was an easy flow. So we do have the song, so we're going to play it in a few minutes, but I just want to get to understand the story behind my Alberta Home. Why did you write that song?
Well, I had written it quite a few years before I released it. And I just had this sense of connection to this province. And you never know as a songwriter what is going to grab you on a certain day. And I had heard that they were looking for they were doing a songwriting contest for a song about Alberta. And I think that was the real instigation. It never ended up being submitted. But over the years, I would perform it in concerts, and I'd often have people ask me if I had recorded it. And so last year was 2025 was the 125th anniversary of Alberta joining Confederation. And so I felt like that was a really good year to release the song. And it's, I call it my love song to Alberta. And so I released it in order to help celebrate that anniversary. And was pleased that it was nominated for Folk Recording of the Year here for the YYC Music Awards. And I sang it so many times last year, all through the year. And I would always get people to sing on the chorus. And I had people end up in tears because there's something about the power of music to connect. There's an emotional connection. And I'll tell you what, it's one thing to feel an emotional connection to just hear the song. But when I invite someone to sing with me, and that's, I find when they really get that sense of emotional connection, and I will see people in tears from being invited to sing it and have that connection. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's a good time to play this song. So we're just going to slide ourselves over and I'm going to bring the song up so you guys can all hear this beautiful song called.
Did you have the video as well?
I do.
Oh,
so
awesome.
we're going to play the video and we're going to get you guys to enjoy My Alberta Home. So we're just going to bring that over. Me and Caroline are just going to slide to the side and you guys can enjoy the video as well. So let's get that up here. I'm going to just get that for everybody. And we'll sit back and we'll listen and enjoy.
This is my Alberta home. This is my Alberta home. In the west, I can see the Rockies, fields of golden grain. Ranch land stretches on forever. I am safe between the mountains and the plains. This is my Alberta home. This is my Alberta home. It doesn't matter where I roam. This is my Alberta home. In the north, there's a wealth of forest, nature's riches since time began. In the south, that old man river gives precious water to the land. This is my Alberta home. This is my Alberta home. It doesn't matter where I roam. This is my Alberta home. When dark clouds gather in the distance, thunder echoes on the hill. I thank the lucky stars above me for this piece of heaven that always will be my Alberta home. This is my Alberta home. It doesn't matter where I roam. This is my Alberta home. This is my Alberta home. This is my Alberta home. doesn't matter where I roam. This is my Alberta home. It doesn't matter where I roam. This is my Alberta home.
Beautiful. And it's so easy to sing with, and it doesn't matter where you live, like in Canada, right? You have so much of Canada within that video as well.
Yes, I enjoyed watching it again. It's a young friend of mine that put the video together. He's a very talented young videographer, and yeah, he did an excellent job. Chris Cutler.
I really love I really love the chorus of it because it's so easy to sing along, right?
Yeah, and that's
So
how
Carolyn,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I said that's why it's so singable that I'm able to encourage the audience to sing, and I know that they will. Yes.
Well, we have some comments that are coming in, and we have one from Anita here. Caroline's music sounds so meaningful and heartfelt.
Thank you, Anita.
Rochelle is back, and she's saying, really enjoying this live tonight, this afternoon, I'm guessing wherever you are. We have some questions that have popped in that I just want to get out to you, Caroline. This one comes in from Bargain Homes. What inspired Caroline to finally share her music with the world?
You know, when I first started to play guitar, I was a late bloomer, really. I was in my late 20s when I first decided to, because songs started coming to me. I had been a poet, and now words started coming as with music, and I had to learn to play. And I always remember that I started playing the guitar in the September. And in the spring, I was living in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, and there was called the Alouette Art Center, and they had an open mic. And 6 months later, I went and with my guitar and played badly and had a lot of fun, and my audience had a lot of fun, because immediately that I started writing, I felt this need to share. I just thought, this I got from my mom. Talents are given to us. They're God-given talents, but they come with a responsibility. And right off the bat, I had the sense that I was being given these songs, and I had it was my not my prerogative. I'm looking for the word. It was my duty, really, to share them. I had a responsibility to share them, and so as I went along and I was developing skills as a writer, as a singer, as a guitar player, as an entertainer, as I went along, I finally got to a place, and it was late in life. Many people are recording as young people today, but no, I was well into my 50s before I really ever went into a studio, and then I was inspired by a young man who I was going to perform at an event, and he said, "Well, now you should bring your merch." He said, "Bring your CD," and I said, "Well, I don't have a CD," and he said, "Well, you need one." And he said, "Do you?" So I had been going into different studios, and I put them all together, all these studio recordings, and that was my first album. I put everything here so I could just, here we go. So my very first one said, it was just a combination. See how young I look? Anyways, it was a combination of a bunch. And then after that, it sort of inspired me to find new ways to share my music as, on CD and eventually into releasing them onto, Spotify and all those kinds of things. But all the way along, I always had this sense of a need to share what was given to me, like a God-given gift. And so that's, eventually I got to a place where technology was changing around me, and I just had to keep learning. And I love, as I mentioned, I love the learning process. It's been good for my brain.
It keeps us young, right? When we keep learning.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And Caroline, where can people get those CDs?
I have a website, carolynharley.com. And I also I just learned how to do Linktree. So maybe people are hearing about Linktree. And so it has a QR code on the back, and it's Carolyn. What is my Linktree? It's linktr .ee/Carolyn Harley. And then this is a neat little card because it shows all the connections and all the different projects that I'm working on. I'm working on the Simone that you mentioned. I wrote a song for her book series, her children's book series called Maple's Great Adventure. And so if you go to Linktree, you'll see you can click in and learn about Maple's a Little Maple Leaf. It's a children's book, and it's a children's song that I wrote. Got to go in the studio with children, and their voices are magic on the song. So yeah, I just all the way along, I just knew I wanted to find as many ways to share my music out to the world as I could. So thanks for that question.
Well, we have another question here for you. I'm going to get to that one, and then I'll jump into the other two that just jumped in. From Jonathan, how did retirement change Caroline's creative journey?
Well, as I was slowly dropping classes, my intention was to be able to say yes to anything that came along. That I would have the time and the energy to say yes if a project came along. And so by the time I finished my last preschool class, I had, already had that momentum going. And I feel like retirement, if you have something that you love, that you can step from one thing that you love, which I absolutely adored being a preschool teacher. And I stepped out of that into music with just my arms wide open to say yes to anything that came along. And William Shatner, he's one of my heroes, believe it or not, because I once heard him being interviewed, and they said, how do you end up doing all these different things? And he said, well, my philosophy is if they ask me, I say yes. And so that's become my philosophy. So I need to tell you that one of the things I've been doing in the last 2 years in my retirement is comedy. And just because a person that I had gotten to know, who had heard me do a couple of kind of funny tunes, asked me, would I be interested in trying comedy? And so, I thought of old William Shatner, and I said yes. So we've been doing these shows called Women, Wit, and Wisdom.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, and it's 3 women. And I'm called the goody two-shoes because I'm a bit of a prude. And so I just do family stories and funny stories and sing funny songs. And the other 2 of them, they're a little bit more on, edgy. And they met at a stand-up comedy workshop. And so we've done about, I think, eight shows so far, and it's mostly women. Some men end up there kind of by mistake, but anyways, they get razzed royally. But so I just is something else that a new way to share my music and songs that I never got to do in the general run of doing concerts. Like one of them was my menopause song.
Oh,
Needless to say, I had not done that, most public things. Yeah, and another one I just did was I wrote it 50 years ago, and the song's called "Where Has All the Money Gone?"
Oh,
and I mean that's right here in Alberta. There was just a reel that came by, and And that's what it said, where's all the money gone? And yeah, so anyways, yes, I just find lots of ways to say yes to ways. That's how I ended up doing the maple song. And yeah, it's just, I'm having a good time.
Sometimes, opportunity comes to us and we're like, what is this?
Yes.
Let's just say yes. Let's just see where this takes us, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We have a question here for you, Caroline, about late bloomers. Let me get it up here. What advice would Caroline give to late bloomers? From Mark Isaac.
Okay. Well, Mark, like I'm always saying, it's never too late to bloom. And I also have a bigger vision of what late bloomer means. To me, it's anybody that comes to anything later in life than what is the norm. And so you could be, I've had kids tell me that they're late bloomers, just for various reasons, and teenagers, and mothers that say, I'm a late bloomer. I didn't have my child until I was like 32, or so it's kind of a mindset to be a late bloomer. And so, and it goes all the way into our boomer years as well. But my advice, I think, would be just to be open to opportunities. Keep your eyes open for opportunities, and to maybe look back. What did you really love, as a kid? You were asking me about who was I as a child, and so maybe look back. What was there something that you're passionate about back then, and rediscover it. And or just go take free courses and try things on for size. And if somebody approaches you with a suggestion, do you want to try such and such? Take William Shatner's advice and just say yes.
And you just never know what door will open. I was like that with the podcast. I was just like, okay, let's just try this. Let's just see where we're going to go. Right. And
Yes.
7 years later, look at, I've met incredible people that I would have never met had I not said yes to this, of getting out there and sharing people's stories. And I get to learn so much. And I love Teatime because I've learned from all of my guests, whether it's music, arts, education, business, finances. There's so much to learn from Teatime. So all my listeners enjoy coming in, listening to Teatime because they learn something from it, right?
Excellent. Yeah.
So Caroline, we have some more questions here for you. And then I have some questions for you as well. And I want to get into the tea because you said you would get a little deeper into that tea that you gave me. So we'll get into that. But let's get Richard's question out here. What was the biggest challenge in starting later in life?
I don't know, because I guess I've always just aging hasn't really been that big of an issue for me. I've just felt like, well, I mean, I talk about how I've got inside of me, I have this really young, spirited woman, that and totally wrinkle free. Your soul doesn't get wrinkles, so I think I've gone with that, and I've been working with young people, so I think that has helped as well. I've got a really young bass player and a young videographer, and so as far as, I don't know, I guess I've just been going willy-nilly, and I haven't really had, I would say, any real difficulties. I just go with the flow, I guess. I don't know, but it's been fun.
Then we have a question here from Kyle. How did teaching influence Caroline's music and storytelling?
Well, teaching, as I mentioned, especially with little children, is such an animated activity. And I did write songs for the children. One is, let's go sailing on a friendship, a friendship, a friendship. Let's go sailing on a friendship. Everybody come along. and so I loved writing for them, and that, you know, you're always priming the pump as a songwriter. You're always looking for opportunities to keep writing. And so I think teaching and being with children and the storytelling that comes with, you know, the working with the children. And I am considered a storyteller in the way that I write, and old school. You know, my country tunes and are all very old school style. So, and I think the storytelling fits with, you know, working with kids. And yeah. Thanks for asking that.
So, Caroline, did you grow up with old classic country or bluegrass? What kind of music did you grow up listening to?
No, I didn't. My dad was in the Air Force, and so we traveled a lot, and so the music was like more from the England kind of bar songs and piano songs and that kind of thing. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? You know, that kind of stuff. So actually, when I moved to Alberta, I did not have a background in country music at all. I did not. And but I started going to, you know, open mics and places, and then kind of getting a sense of country music. And then almost immediately I started writing all these cheating songs. 2 time and 1 time too many and stuff like that. So my husband's friends were starting to get worried. They said, you know, anyways. No, so I didn't have a country background. And one of the songs is I've got country in my soul and it won't let me alone. Because even though I don't have that background, as I started writing, I sang. Some people say I sound a bit like Patsy Cline when I'm singing country. So then if I wanted to try something that wasn't country, I always ended up sounding country. So I guess maybe in another life, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, back in the old classic country, was either you were singing cheating songs, your dog died, or your wife left you. You know, there was that was the good old country music, right? The old classic songs, right?
But it really is storytelling and heartfelt. And so I think that's what I took from the country music and I took it into all my styles of writing, because I write all different styles. Yeah.
Well, Caroline, you gave me for your tea tempo, energize, attitude, and you said you would get deeper into those 3 words. So why'd you give me those 3 words for your tea?
Gee, you should have sent that to me so I could remember that I sent that to you.
Because that's exactly what you said. You get more into it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, tempo. I mean, music is all about tempo, and life is about tempo, you know, because you have your ups and your downs, and you have your fast times and your slow times. And so the slow time is in my life right now is it just happens. And I think I will mention this. 1 year ago today, I lost my dear husband, Joe. And I'm terrible. I'm good with remembering lyrics, but I'm terrible with numbers. And I honestly thought that my husband passed away on May 15, but he actually passed away on May 14 today. And so when I booked this, I thought tomorrow was going to be the day of the anniversary of his passing. And so this past year, the music in my life has been my godsend. Has been my godsend. And before, Joe was my bass player. He was my absolute best friend. He was such a supporter of my music, and he encouraged me. And so I've used this past year. Before he passed, he just said to me, Carolyn, you keep doing your music. And so I've had in this past year, since he's gone, I was nominated for my Alberta Home, and I got to walk the red carpet, you know, for the award show with my 2 sons, one on each side of me. But Joe was there. He was there in the sense that all the years that he put up with me you know, if you're a songwriter, you sing the same thing over and over and over and over until you get it just exactly right, you know. And that man, he tolerated so much of endless. I probably have 500-600 songs, and that poor man, he had to listen to me create all those tunes. And he was just such an inspiration to me, for me. And anyway, so the tempo of my past year has been slower, but the music has been there, and the music has sustained me, my family, and my music friends. So it's kind of interesting that I've ended up sharing this podcast with you on this.
Right? It's the universe.
Yes.
I strongly believe in that, because a lot of my guests, they'll realize once they get on Teatime, it's either a birthday, a memory of a loved one who has passed. And that's why I say it's the universe doing the work for Teatime, because we don't know. Like when we talk, we don't know the dates we're going to schedule or the time we're going to schedule. It's all the universe that's doing it. It's all of our loved ones watching over us and saying, you know what, I'm going to be with you that day. I'm going to give you that little hope and push to get through it.
Yeah. Excellent. Mm-hmm.
So Caroline, your second word was energize. Where's the energize come in?
Energize. Yeah. Well, I do believe that music is basically energy, and we connect on an energy level to music. And so somehow or another, I'm receiving through the power of energy these songs, and then as I said, it's my responsibility then to find a way to find opportunities to perform, to find opportunities to use my music for good, like when I talked about songs that matter, and also to the energy of that it takes to, you know, to go into the studio and to learn everything, but then somehow or another to get the feedback from people that say that my songs matter. Like one of the things I like to do is we have here in Calgary, it's called Wellspring, and it's a support organization for people with cancer. And so every year I usually go in and with my people, and we perform. And this last time a lady was there and she said to me, your music has been so important to me. So she had bought my CDs, and I mean that's a sense of the energy flow, you know, from somewhere through me and then back out into the world, and then back to me. And it's quite magical. This whole songwriting process is magical. But there is definitely an energy connected to music.
And the last word you gave me was attitude.
Attitude. Okay.
And she comes with the attitude.
Yeah. It's really, you know, you have to agree that it's not so much what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. What's your attitude? And to me, this past year has shown me that I couldn't change losing Joe, and I had choices. We always have choice in the grieving process to curl up and, you know, and hope the world will go away, or to make the choice to work through it. And I was given a beautiful little book called Grief One Day at a Time, and it's a daily reader, and I have absolutely loved it. And it's a process. I'm also a member of Al-Anon, which, if people don't know, it's a support group for friends of alcoholics. And so I was raised in an alcoholic home. Nonetheless, my dad being in the armed forces, right? That was prevalent there. And so I've been going to Al-Anon, and this whole sense of recovery is part of Al-Anon. And it was very much in part in this book, One Day at a Time, Grief, Dealing with Grief. And so every day I have read and I have kept up with my music. And I've just reached my 1 year anniversary, and I look back on the year, and there were really hard times, but really through the power of this energy for good in the world and music, you know, I'm coming out the other side, and looking forward to my life going forward. And he's with me. He's with me. Yeah.
Absolutely, you know, and when we sit back and we look at our grief teaches us, right, to carry on in a different way. And sometimes we're frustrated and we're like confused and we're just like, where do I need to go with this? Did the music help you get through it, Carolyn?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now I haven't been writing. I just wrote my first song from a fresh. I've been editing and revisiting songs and bringing them forward. And but I just wrote my first song that was right from a new idea and a brand new song. So I feel like I had to put everything on hold while Joe was ill in this past year. But I know I will still. I somewhere on one of my sites it says I'm sure I'll be madly trying to finish a song before I pass away. You know, I'll be writing right till the end. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, we have a question coming in from a group from Uganda, and there is, who is your favorite local artist?
My favorite local artist. Well, can I have two? These are two ladies. There's two ladies that are just doing so amazing. They're dear friends of mine, and one is Tony Veer, and she's just going to be releasing her album, and she is just a feisty. She's a small woman, but boy, she's got a voice, and she's very much into protest, you know, using music as protest. And so she'll be so Tony Veer, and the other one is Leanne Lightfoot, and she was just nominated for her album. And these are both not young women, you know, so I don't know if they'd call themselves late bloomers, but they're not young women. And they're just making their presence known here in Calgary and in Alberta. And I'm so proud of both of them.
Caroline, we have a question here from David, and it says, what message does Caroline hope listeners take from her songs?
You know, every time I write a song, I have to think about what is the style that would best suit this story. So that's why I write in country, bluegrass, rockabilly, folk, comedy, children's, you know, it has to fit. And hey, I've lost the question. What was the question? Put it back.
Let me.
I got off. Oh yeah, what do they hope?
What message does Caroline hope listeners take from her songs?
Right. Yeah. So every song is different, and they each have their own purpose. So this is the Ordinary Man. This is my album that I wrote, and Ordinary Man just says it's about a soldier, but he's just an ordinary man. So one day he's going to work, and the next day he's going to war. And it was inspired initially by the war in Ukraine, but now it just continues on. All these men that are just ordinary fellows, and now they're called in to fight wars. And so that song had a very specific purpose. My Alberta Home had a very specific purpose. But then my menopause song, it's straight for humor, but also it's inspiring, because it says in the song, it talks about, you know, we're going to get going and keep on going. My maple songbook, you know, children, the little maple leaf learning all about Canada. I mean, that was very purposeful. And Simone's books will have a book for every province and every territory. And the song is about Maple just, you know, loving Canada and learning all about it through the books. So I would say each song kind of has its own purpose. Some are just for straight entertainment, but some are very purposeful.
So is Simone's song out for the Maple Leaf?
Yes, it is. And it has a video. Her girlfriend did a wonderful video for her. So you can also find that Where did I put my, here it is. Here's my link tree. So if you go there, you'll see it says Maple. There's one of the links, and you can find it. And okay, I can't remember if I figured out how to put the video there, but it will take you to my website, and I'm pretty sure the video is there. Or you can go, just Google YouTube, Maple's Great Adventure by Carolyn Harley, and you'll see the video. Yeah, I'm just having so much fun.
And that's sung with children, correct?
And that's where I'm singing the lead vocal, but the children are singing on the chorus. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotta check
Everywhere
that
the
out.
wind blows, that's where Maple goes.
See, I like the flow of the music, Caroline, because it sounds like preschool, like going into school and learning how to sing for the first time, and feeling relaxed with the words and comfortable with the words. You know, they're not heavy; they're nice and flowy. It reminds me of nursery rhymes and bedtime stories. Right. And have you done a bedtime album?
No, I haven't. No.
Maybe that's something in the works.
Yeah, maybe. But I did study years ago. Pat Pattison is a famous songwriting teacher, coach, professor. And he actually came up to Calgary years ago through a series of workshops, and I studied with him. And one of the things that really he impressed on us is sing it like you would say it.
Oh.
And he'd often say, just speak your lyric, and then sing like you would say it. So that really stayed with me. And so I try very hard to have there's a flow to the creation of the lyric, and then melding it with the melody. Prosody, isn't that a lovely word? Prosody. That's the melding of the lyric and the melody. Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
It sounds magical. It sounds like a flower, like the bloom, the leaf.
That's right. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah. Real Charlotte has a question here for you. Are there more music projects coming soon?
Music projects coming soon. Well, I have been thinking that now that I've got this year behind me of dealing with my grief and moving forward, I am thinking what would I like to do next, and I have nothing specific, I have to say, but I am now feeling open to the possibilities. We will be doing more Women, Wit, and Wisdom, and we've got a new one. The one woman is moving to Elbow, Saskatchewan. Do we have anybody out there from Elbow, Saskatchewan? You know, I hear that Elbow, Saskatchewan is a real swinging joint. Nonetheless, moving to Elbow, and we have a new third party, and she is a psychic comic.
Oh,
so that's will be the new dynamic in our Women, Wit, and Wisdom. So that'll be a bit of a new project. Yes, but otherwise I'm just going to leave myself open to the universe. And like I mentioned about William Shatner, I'm sure when it comes along, I'll probably say, yes, I'll try that.
If you don't try, you don't know. That's what
Exactly.
I always say. And then you're always living with that regret. Should I have done that? You know, and then you're always in that bubble of what would have happened if I did that.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, and the other words that you gave me was stories that matter. It's never too late to bloom, and the power of stories. Tell me why you gave me those three to describe your life, Caroline.
Well, I guess, you know, as a poet and as a songwriter, I'm a storyteller, and that's the whole, you know, reason I think for my writing and my performance is just to share stories, and that's how we connect. That's how we connect. I believe in community and creating community, and so creating events and fundraisers and concerts. I like to have kind of a theme to a concert. So last year, my whole concert theme was songs of the history of Alberta, different songs that I had written from different places. And so that was the storytelling part there. And just, you know, celebrating being the age that I am, and just loving life. And I'm okay to be a role model for women my age, you know, to be in my 70s and to be out there singing and performing and creating events. And that's fine. You know, if people say, wow, you know, if they're younger and they say, you know, if I have to wait for my passion to fulfill itself until I retire, that's okay, because I'll just do what I can as I go along, keep studying, keep learning, keep growing. And then there will come a time when you'll have the time and the energy. And so if I can role model that, you know, that it's just never too late to bloom, then I'm good with that.
And I think that's an important message for everyone out there. You know, there's no age limit on your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
we have a question here from Bargain Homes, and then I'm going to get your final message. How does Caroline connect with audiences through her songs?
Right from the beginning of the germ of the idea for the song, one of the things that I really try hard is to have a single thread of an idea through the songs. I see sometimes new songwriters, they try to get too many stories in one song. And people have often said to me, I always know exactly what your song's about. And they say, sometimes I'll listen to artists, I love their voice and the arrangements are great, but somehow or another, I don't have a real strong sense of what the song is about or what the heart of the song is. And so right from the first, when I'm writing it, I get the first idea, then I look to what is the main theme. And so that's, I think, how I end up connecting, because people, they just can follow the storyline. They get a sense of connection to it. And you know, that's what works for me anyways. So.
And Caroline, what final message would you have for the late bloomers out there? Because you said you have some youths that say they're late bloomers. You have all ages that are calling themselves late bloomers. What message would you have for all of them out there?
Well, I guess it's just, you know, keep your eyes open, keep your heart open, keep looking for opportunities to shine, because we all have the ability to shine and to be kind and to influence others in positive ways. And our world needs that right now. It needs kindness and it needs love. And so just, you know, as all ages, just keep looking for your way in some small way to be connected and to shine and to bloom. So
well, thank you so much, Caroline, for sitting with me and sharing and bringing your music to my table and to my listeners out there. I really enjoyed this tea time. I love when we get some music into tea time because music helps heal as well.
Yes.
And again, go and check out My Alberta Home. Caroline, if you would just like to spell out your website for all the listeners out there, and then I'll do a wrap up of what today's tea time was.
Yeah. So I see it's here on your Miss Teatime, but it's carolynharley.com, CarolynHarley.com. And that's Harley like the motorcycle.
So you can listen to the music and ride your bike at the same time.
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me on Tea Time. I could not do this without all of you listeners and supporters out there. And a huge thank you to you, Caroline, for joining me today. What a heartfelt and beautiful conversation. Caroline, thank you for sharing your music, your journey, and the stories behind the songs. Your presence reminds us that creativity is not about timing. It's about authenticity, courage, and allowing yourself to keep blooming. This afternoon, we were reminded that music has a way of reaching places where words alone sometimes cannot. It can connect us to memories, to places we love, to emotions we forget we carry, and even to ourselves. Through my Alberta Home and your storytelling, you've shown that home is not only geographically, it's emotional, it's connection, it's identity, it's belonging. And perhaps one of the most powerful messages from today is this: it is never too late to pursue what calls to your heart. Here is something to carry with you after this tea time. What dream, passion, or creative voice have you been placing on hold because you thought your time had passed? Because life does not stop asking us to grow. It's sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin later than expected. Until our next cup, keep sharing, keep singing your story, and keep honoring your voice, and keep blooming in your own time. And I'll see everybody at 7 p.m. with the second tea time of today.